Hi, I'm Steve Morgan, founder of Cybersecurity Ventures and editor-in-chief at Cybercrime Magazine. I'm here today with Stuart Winter-Tier, Director of Sales Engineering at Threat Modeler, developers of an automated threat modeling solution that secures and scales the enterprise software development lifecycle. To learn more about Threat Modeler, visit threatmodeler.com. Stuart, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, Stuart, before we dive into Threat Modeler, tell us a little bit about your background and observations on the market.
Thank you. Yes, so I actually was a security architect by trade. So I was on the front lines, and I joined the threat modeling community, automated side of it, about 3 years ago. And at that time, most of my job, if I'm honest, revolved around evangelizing threat modeling. Okay. Security folk didn't tend to get it that well. And it was very much talking about, hey, look, you wouldn't build a bridge and put a person on it afterwards to see if it can hold the weight. You would engineer into the bridge the safety and security. Of course you would. So why aren't we doing that with software? Why is all of the security seems to be bolted on at the end? Why aren't we engineering the security into the beginning of it? Nowadays, folk have got to grips with that, okay, but they're still not threat modeling. And why is that? Because the way we were taught, getting lots and lots of stakeholders in a room to brainstorm on a whiteboard using something like the Stride mnemonic, taking hours and hours and hours, is simply untenable. In today's operational environment where we're releasing constantly every day. We might have thousands of applications, some of my customers do, so how could they possibly do that? Of course, what we needed to do was we needed to do what dev and ops have done, and that's start to automate things and to get things into a pipeline. And that's where Threat Modeler is. It's about threat modeling, but it's about doing it at scale, doing it at speed, and integrating, and most importantly, scaling out the security team. So that's pretty much where we are at the moment.
So, Stuart, you're here today to give us a demo. Before you do that, give us a 30,000-foot view of Threat Modeler. We have a lot of CISOs who tune into us from large enterprises, very interested to learn what you're doing.
Yeah, so as I said, this is about scaling out the security team via threat modeling. A lot of regulations are saying to us, do secure design. Everybody wants secure design because it is so much easier to get security in at the beginning rather than retrofit afterwards. Okay, so Threat Modeler is about getting the security into the design phase and into the early build phase. And so really, and it's not just about that, but it's about having all of our peers involved in that, even if they're not security trained, such as architects, developers, and operations teams. And Threat Modeler is designed to do just that in a collaborative sense. So.
Well, that was a great overview, Stuart. You're hitting a lot of hot buttons for CISOs, and I know they're anxious to see this. So take it away and show us what Threat Modeler has to offer.
Lovely. Thank you very much. So on the screen in front of us, you can see what we call our diagram screen. So this is an absurdly simple architectural diagram in front of us. The idea simply is to go to the toolbox. Now, in this toolbox is something in the region of 1,000 components out of the box. Threat Modeler comes with an incredible amount of intellectual property just to get the security team up and running, or whoever it is up and running that has to do this diagram. And just to give you a quick demo, I search for whatever I want to threat model, and I simply drag it into my diagram. It is as simple as that. Okay. Now, at the end of the day, this is designed to be collaborative, so anybody can come in and do this part. And even if they don't realize they're threat modeling, it doesn't matter because they are threat modeling. Now, if I go to the overview screen up here, based on the choices, based on that model and the choices that were taken, the underlying engine was actually threat modeling. So in this page, we can see all of the threats related to those components. Okay, they're already out of the box, they're all ready for you. But underneath that, probably more pertinently for the security team, are the security requirements for those components to thwart those above threats. Now, when I say security requirements, I mean mitigations, controls, things like that. So this is all out of the box to get the team up and running quickly. And the idea, of course, is to get these security requirements, get these controls into engineers' hands right at the beginning of the development phase. And one of the ways we can do that, if I open up this forgot password functionality, for example, is we can create tickets, issue tracker tickets from these security requirements. Okay. As they go up, just to give you a quick demonstration, I have a ticket ready. As they go up, these security requirements are now in the engineer's hands, and they are tasked with engineering these security things in at the beginning of the process. And of course, this is bidirectional communication. So if I put a comment in or the engineer closes the ticket, we will see that reflected inside threat modeling. So what that means is that we can track. We are hoping day by day, all of these statuses will flip from open to closed. And we want as much of that to happen as possible before we go to production. Now, that was one native integration with regard to issue trackers, but I do want to make everybody aware that this is the perfect tool for integrating into a security pipeline. And the reason I say that is because if I go here to the API documentation, you can see we have a very, very, very expansive API, bidirectional API on the back. Now, what this means is that we can effectively set the data free. And all the data inside Threat Modeler can be plugged into the pipeline, upstream or downstream, into whatever we want, reporting tools, security tools, GRC tools, it doesn't matter. We can even do gatekeeping. But the idea is in all of this is to scale the security team out, to get things into engineers' hands, to make engineers self-service, to automate as much as possible through the API, and to do it all at speed, of course. As you would expect, of course, there's enterprise-ready reporting. There's all of this available for us. It can be very, very granular. We can drill down. We have executive reports ready, customer reports, anything that you need to see with regard to your security stance as you progress through the SDLC is ready for you. We can deal with compliance as well, of course, within this tool, so we can track our compliance and ensure that we are compliant before we go off to production. And finally, just to, we've got the ability to be able to look across the board. That was per threat model, but if we wish, we can look across the board, across our estate, and start to see where our problem areas are, and we can start to find those bottlenecks. Now, what I've done there is to create a threat model that really is going to take, I believe, and I've seen customers take them down from potentially weeks to hours, okay, in terms of doing a threat model. But what if I said that this is possible to do in minutes? What if I said that this is possible in one click? I'd love to show you that. Inside Threat Modeler, exactly where we are, if I open up the settings, you can see we have Cloud Dashboards, and we have what we call AWS Accelerator and Azure Accelerator. If I click on AWS Accelerator, what we are effectively doing is we are tying Threat Modeler with your pre-existing cloud environment. Now, if I highlight an organization, Threat Modeler has the capability to enumerate all of the VPCs within your cloud environment, or VNets if it's Azure, and we're getting GCP soon. Now, what that means is that as soon as I have that VPC, I can simply double click it, and Threat Modeler will enumerate everything within that VPC and will draw down a diagram automatically, as you see in front of you. Now, not only can it do that, but it can threat model it at the same time. Okay, so if I go to the overview screen, we're going to see those same threats, mitigations, those same security controls. We are talking now one-click threat modeling, something that goes from weeks to one click. And I think that's pretty remarkable. As many of the potential customers, they talk to me, they're transitioning to cloud, they're going through a digital transformation, and when they look at Threat Modeler, and I do show them the capabilities, and I'm not just talking about the security team, I'm talking about the benefits to the executive team as well, they do realize that this is a potential key to that very, very transformation. We can do more with the same headcount. I have a customer with the same headcount of security managed to go from 150 threat models a year to 1,000 in 12 months with Threat Modeler. It's collaborative. We get everybody to be self-service. Everybody can join in the process. the re-engineering, there's no re-engineering because we're engineering the security into the beginning of the phase. There's consistency, standardization in our security, automation, obviously, and as I said, we can plug that into pipelines. And probably the key to it all is doing it all at speed, doing it all at scale, and being able to sleep easy as a CISO or as an executive security, knowing our baselines of security are already in place and we've got rid of all of that low-hanging fruit. So, yeah, I'll leave it there.
Okay, so Stuart, let me close out with a question here. A large enterprise looks at Threat Modeler. If they see that demo, I think they're going to be very interested. They're all in, they're CISO, they're head of software engineering. What does the implementation look like time-wise? How long does it take to get up and running?
Completely depends. Now, with smaller companies, obviously it can happen in a matter of weeks, but when we deal with the truly global, it can take up to a couple of years because this is a transformation in the way they do security. Okay. Now, on a global level, potentially, I mean, our largest customer has 60,000 developers working in the tool making diagrams, just to give you some scale. And that did take a couple of years to get there. But don't do it all at once. Do a crawl, walk, run approach, and Threat Modeler will hold your hand every step of the way. So there's no worries there. We'll be right with you as a partner. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that, Stuart. We appreciate you coming on today.
Oh, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
I'm Steve Morgan, founder of Cybersecurity Ventures and editor-in-chief at Cybercrime Magazine. You can follow all of our content at cybercrimemagazine.com. Joining me today was Stuart Wintertier, Director of Sales Engineering at Threat Modeler, developers of an automated threat modeling solution that secures and scales the enterprise software development lifecycle. To learn more about our sponsor, Threat Modeler, visit threatmodeler.com.